Welcome to a special episode of Unapologetic. This might be known as the Will Smith episode. I'm Will Posnan. I'm joined by my co-host Kiah Stokes.
Yeah.
And let's start with that. It's the most interesting pop culture story in a while. Like, there's so many different ways to look at it, in my opinion. But let's start with how did you hear about, for people who have been living under the rock of all rocks, the Oscars were yesterday and Chris Rock was presenting Best Documentary and he made a bunch of jokes. And in one of them, he made fun of Jada Pinkett Smith's haircut and, potentially her alopecia. A lot of people are spinning it like he didn't know. And Will Smith went on stage, slapped him in the face, got off stage, and in case people weren't sure if it was a bit or not, he yelled, "Keep my wife the fuck out of your mouth" a couple of times during the live broadcast. Like made it clear it wasn't a bit, and then everybody reacted in 100 different directions. So Kiah, how did you hear about this, and what was your first reaction?
First thing I do when I wake up is check my phone, of course. Cause
the thing you're not supposed to do?
What 20-something doesn't do that, you know what I mean? So,
no, for sure.
I went to, check my phone and then literally go to Instagram. The first, it's got to be 12. It's just like pictures, memes of Will Smith, his hand back like this. Like, Chris Rock's face, like, at first he was like smiling. I don't know. It was just weird. So at first I was like, wait, what is going on? Like, what happened? So then I'm, go to Twitter because that's my backup. That's where I get the news, So I go to Twitter. First, the whole timeline is just Will Smith slapped the shit out of Chris Rock and da-da-da. I was like, so of course I had to go watch the video. And, the only bad, I don't want to say bad thing, but it kind of sucked that I feel like I was late to the party because this all happened when I was asleep. And then I wake up and I feel like I missed everything. But saw the clip. They have like a Japanese show or the Japanese airing going around that doesn't bleep out the cuss word. So I got the full picture, which is kind of, I don't want to say cool, but at least I got the full picture.
It's like you were there.
Yeah, it's like I didn't miss a thing. I'm just a couple hours late.
No, but I don't. A lot of people on TV, they're doing that angle of like, oh, this is why you got to watch the Oscars live. And I hate that shit. Like, that's some Gen X shit of like, oh, you got to be there on No, I found out about it like 45 minutes later on YouTube. I don't feel like I missed anything. You don't have to watch it live to be a part of this. That's don't listen to that spin. That's all propaganda.
Yeah, nah, definitely don't feel. If that was the most eventful thing of the night, then clearly I saw it all on social media the next day. But anyway, so my first thought was like, damn, did that really happen? My first instinct was like, oh, it's got to be fake. Like, I thought it was a joke at first because I was like, no way this really happened. My second thought was kind of heartbroken because I'm like, damn, Will Smith, one of my favorite actors ever. I don't want to say like tarnishes his reputation because, on one side, he's standing up for his wife and that's amazing. Like maybe he's just sick of the jokes because Will and Jada have been in the news a lot over the last couple of years about everything. So I don't know. I was like, maybe he's just sick of the jokes and just want everybody to stop talking about him. Like, that's good. But also I'm like, he just slapped the shit out of somebody and then sat down in the audience and then won an Oscar. So I was like, So I was just like, what do we do now? Like, what happens next? But I'm just why, Will? Why? Because like he still is cool to me. Like, I don't know. I don't know if the joke was too far. I mean, he said, I love you, Jada, and then, made a joke, but like maybe she's just sick of hearing it. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like a big issue. Like dealing with anyone who has any medical condition, if you joke about it, like it's obviously sometimes it just can't be funny anymore. Like jokes are overdone. But I was like, damn, I guess that's just my reaction.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely a different kind of story. And there's all the feelings. Like when people brought up the medical condition, I wasn't aware of the medical condition, but apparently she talks about it a lot on her show. And I used to watch her show and I liked her show, but I didn't know she had alopecia. I do think that there's a spectrum of like medical conditions where I think that I just think that there's a sliding scale when it comes to medical conditions, because personally, like, I mean, obesity is a medical condition, and that's one of the staples of what people joke about at a roast. Like, there's all these different nuances to a medical condition. I don't know that medical condition should be one of the ones that's off limits all the time. People joke about Magic Johnson having AIDS like every day, and he doesn't even have AIDS. He has HIV. But every day when Magic Johnson gets brought up, people joke about him having AIDS, which he doesn't have. So the idea that alopecia is going to be not fair game for forever, that's ridiculous to me. But at the same time, okay, what do you think? Do you think alopecia, like, it's bald adjacent? Are you going to say that you can't make fun of somebody for being bald? Like,
no, like, that's fine, but I don't know enough about, like, is alopecia just like a symptom of something else that she has?
No, I looked it up. I looked it up because to me the line in the sand is like, if there's pain associated with that medical condition, then don't joke about it. Basically, like, if the person is in pain in front of you, that's my personal line. And by the way, they opened up the fucking Oscars with 2 jokes about LeBron's hairline. Like, and the thing about movies, like, if you watch Amy Schumer and them and Wanda and Regina in the opening segment, they open it with LeBron hairline jokes, like Space Jam, CGI LeBron. So the idea that you can't joke, but so alopecia, there is like a slight pain that can be associated with it, but I still think, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's still fair game, because it's basically, you're making fun of like the bald adjacent part of it, not the slight pain part. And I understand that a lot of people, it's like, it can cause identity issues and mental health stuff. Like, I'm sympathetic to that, but there's also people out there that experience like difficulties that they joke about it as a form of recourse. So to say alopecia is off limits, I'm not with that personally. I will continue to make hours and hours of alopecia jokes on stage. That's where I'm. I have so many feelings about this.
I mean, I get it. Maybe it's just like a sensitive topic. I don't know. It was weird also because in the clips that I've seen, like, at first Will was laughing along with it. So then I think Jada must have really just was at her wit's end, or whatever that saying is, and then was just like, do something. I don't know.
No, but for real, that's, I think, what it was. Like, I think that Will was not triggered by the joke, but by his wife's reaction to the joke. And she has a right to not enjoy the joke. Like, for sure, she cannot enjoy it. And by the way, joke sucked. Like, it was a G.I. Jane joke 20 years after everybody stopped caring about G.I. Jane, whatever. I mean, and the other thing is, personally, I thought Chris Rock's whole energy for the presenting thing was like too aggressive and weird energy. So I feel like, I mean, I think Chris Rock is it was not like sharp comedic energy. It was like overbearing, aggressive, and we can get into the weeds. I mean, we have time. We can get into the weeds on Chris Rock in 2022 if we want to, because
I mean, I don't know much about him, but after what I seen on Twitter, it was a big old stamp of everybody hates Chris is clearly still on air. So,
well, I mean, there were so many different like funny jokes on the internet that came out of this, but I'm very curious to see how Chris handles this comedically, because like, in recent years, it feels like, and that was part of it for me, is like, it feels like Chris has just had a negativity around himself comedically. Like,
oh damn, that's unfortunate.
Well, there's just kind of a thing where when we were kids, Chris Rock was the guy. Like, he used to do interviews calling himself the Michael Jordan of comedy. Like, you can find those. He's on Australian TV being like, treat me how you would treat Michael Jordan, which I love that energy in a comedian. Like, by all means, talk your shit. Now he's doing interviews kind of complaining about how the kids, meaning my generation, like Dave Chappelle more than him, or like Cat Williams more than him. And I think that he wasn't happy with the reception of Tambourine, which was his last special. There's a lot of, and honestly, like, you hear stories in the New York scene of him just having a negative energy when he comes into clubs and bumps other comedians, like, which means to just, when you're a famous comedian, you can go on stage whenever, and there's a graceful way to do it, and then there's another way to do it. This isn't like,
so sounds
I'm
like
saying
he's
all
being
the,
an asshole. That's what it
yeah.
sounds like.
Well, that's the
So-
thing about him is like he did those jokes with a bullying energy, and I think that was what Jada responded to, and that's the reason why it's like I don't think audiences should go on stage and rush the comedian when they're telling jokes. That's why I always told jokes with a microphone. At least I got something in my hand, you know? But like at the same time, and that's happened to me before where somebody approached the stage. I never had somebody actually come on stage, but I've had people approach the stage and shit. But like, yeah.
So
what were you gonna say?
my thing is like, so what do you think he was thinking when, like, it was a long way between where Will was seated into where he was on the stage? Like, what did he think he was gonna do when he got on the stage? Like, give him a hug? Like, just put a finger in his face? Like,
so he's deer in the headlights in the moment, and then afterwards, like, what he did do was like,
it was awkward.
In my opinion,
so awkward.
It was like close to what he should have done, but this is why I'm like, yeah, he's out of practice, because what he does do after Will Smith slaps him is he makes a joke about it. He goes, oh, this is going to be a Hollywood whatever story. Once again, referencing some shit from 30 years ago, like G.I. Jane, Hollywood True Story, whatever some show from 30 years ago when he was a kid. What he should have done is he should have just made more jokes about it. And I see comedians going like, oh, you've never been in that situation, you shouldn't comment. But I'm not commenting on I'm not saying, oh, this is what I would have done. Because, like, that's like LeBron going, like, oh, that's like me going, oh, I would hit the game winner if I was in LeBron's shoes. But what I will say is what he should have done, which is to make a bunch of great jokes immediately after. And for a comedian to act like that's beyond every comedian, like when you're talking about hosting the Oscars, you're talking about the best comedians in the world. And when you're talking about featuring, presenting best comedians in the world, like, I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation to be like, yeah, he had a moment of extreme tension. He could have responded by being uproariously funny if he had
I
went
felt
hard.
like the crowd would have not been in it. I feel like everyone from what I saw was just like in shock. Like, I don't know, if I would have been there and I just seen someone get hit in the face and then he just starts like trying to roast, and not even necessarily that.
Not even roast
jokes
though.
In general. No, but I'm saying, but just jokes in general. I feel like I would be uncomfortable laughing because I'm thinking about like, so they just really just gonna let Will come back and just sit in the seat and act like nothing happened. Like nobody gonna say nothing. Like we just gonna act like I would just be so not focused.
But what if he just said some?
I feel like he's in a lose-lose because like one, you can either address what just happened clearly because you had to, or like try to ignore it, but then the rest of us would be like, so we just not gonna. We're gonna act like that never happened. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's in a lose-lose situation. There's no way I think that could have happened.
But that's the thing about comedy is sometimes comedy is like a tool for transcending a lose-lose situation. Like if he makes some joke where it's like, oh, this is why Robin Williams is my favorite genie, or if he makes some joke where it's like, you know what's crazy is I'm still rooting for Will to win the Oscar. That's how bad we all want Will to win. Like if he makes that joke, at least he has a shot. But he instead made a joke about a TV show that's been off the air since he was a kid. Like, he didn't not make a joke. People are like, oh, he just took the high ground and waited out. No, he said something, and it was another joke. And that's another thing. That's the only thing that really got me mad about this is some people described what he said about Jada as a comment. No, that shit was a joke. He made a joke. Whether the joke was a good joke or a bad joke, you can debate that, but it's kind of irrelevant because, like, a joke attempt is a joke attempt. But to be like, and then he was commenting on Jada, that just completely misrepresents the situation.
Yeah. I don't know. I would just, I mean, I guess if he would have made different jokes, it maybe would have been better. But regardless, if I was there, like, it took me so long to even get through the clip. I was just like cringe the whole time watching it because I'm like, the joke's not funny. I feel uncomfortable. He's just staring at Will coming directly at him, and then he just gets slapped across the face, and then he's just like, really, dude? Like, I don't know. Like, all of it was just like cringy to me, and just
look. it was high
Will.
degree of difficulty comedy
Damn.
to be slapped in the face by Muhammad Ali and have to make a joke immediately after. Sure, it's high degree of difficulty. But we're talking about a guy who, when we were kids, he was ranked as a top 10 comedian of all time.
I mean, he claimed he the best. He had his chance to prove it. I mean, I will give you that.
That's all I'm saying. And that's another reason why he's been kind of bitter in the last 10 years is because on those all-time rankings, he's seen people like Dave and Louie and Kat pass him. And it's because, I mean, to be real, it's because his first two specials are two of the 10 best of all time. And none of the other ones are at that level. And he knows that. And that's another thing too, is like people expecting young comedians to defend Chris Rock or new comedians. That shit is corny to me too, because Chris Rock does not pay your bills. Like, I want to see the people who Chris Rock has put on, which is like Hannibal Buress, Leslie Jones, W. Kamau Bell better be defending Chris Rock, because W. Kamau Bell is not funny. Only reason he has a career is because of Chris Rock. So if Chris Rock helped your career, then you should be out here, running up on Will Smith, in my opinion. If somebody gave me a career, I would run up on Will Smith for them. Personally.
So where do you rank Chris Rock in terms of like all time?
I look at Chris Rock like Nas. Like Nas made Illmatic, which is one of the 10, 20 best rap albums of all time, but his peak was his first thing. Chris Rock made Bring the Pain, which is one of the 5 best comedy specials of all time. But to me, Chris Rock
whole career catalog, he just doesn't live up to the others.
Well, he started at a real, it's not like he started at a really high level. He made Bring the Pain when he was 12 years in. But I think that as he got more successful, the chip on his shoulder eroded and then morphed, because like for a while he seemed like a really happy guy, but in a sense, I'm a huge Chris Rock fan in that I'm a huge fan of Bring the Pain, but like I grew up I probably listened to that album like 30, 40 times all the way like as a kid, but like, and I listened to Chris Rock on stuff. Like Chris Rock went on Naomi Campbell's podcast like 6 months ago, and I had to turn it off because he was just complaining about how she would never date him. Like for the whole, dude, his energy is weird. His energy's been weird for a while. Like the fact that Chris Rock 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when he was happier, was putting on all these young comics, like putting on Hannibal Buress when he was a young comic, getting Leslie Jones her job on SNL. Like that shit was dope. And now, I have friends who are at the Comedy Cellar, at New York Comedy Club, all these places every night, and he has no interest in helping these young comics. And like Chris Rock has a career because of Eddie Murphy. So I think that sometimes, I really do feel like successful comedians, you can tell how happy they are by how they pay it forward to the next generation. And you see that with athletes too, to an extent, where it's like,
where is he in your top?
He's not in my top 10, and he was.
Oh,
he's not my top 10. Yeah, because he's in my top 10 for his generation of comics, but
overall, he's not there.
I mean, my top 10 is like, so Pryor, Cosby, Kat, Louie, Dave Chappelle, and are we doing greatest or favorites? Because there's some slight variation there.
I mean, I was just curious where you would put him, and like your favorite.
He's in my top 20. Like, he's in my top 20, and top 20 favorites.
20 comics, so that's crazy. Well, I guess that's what you do.
I can probably name 200, but no. But I mean, it's one of my obsessions, but
maybe this is gonna be the moment that just changes him. Like maybe he's gonna get a different outlook. He's gonna just start trying to be positive and just trying to change this whole thing. Maybe instead of being negative all the time, like maybe he'll take this. I mean, it's free publicity right now. I know it's.
I think so. Actually,
get their picture of them getting slapped in the face all over the internet, but like use it to his advantage. I don't know. I'm not to be like influencer, but like try to make it work.
Not to be like rosy glasses with you, but yeah, I think so, actually. I think that this will be, I think he'll come out of this better than Will Smith. I think this will be should be a bit of a humbling experience for him. Like, connect with your roots, connect, like, look at all the young comedians who had his back, despite that he never really had their, like, in terms of my generation comics, he never had ours, you know? So, yeah, maybe he connects with us. And you know what's crazy is his brother Jordan Rock is of my generation of comics, like, and is a competent, is a good comedian. Like, he, you know, he stopped putting on comics of my generation to the point that he won't even put on his brother. So, you know,
Damn.
well, but yeah, I would love to see, you know, Chris Rock get in touch with the comedy community that seems to be the only community that's had his back this whole thing. Because the other thing is everybody's kind of taking the stance of like, well, Will Smith was defending his wife, which I think is a bit of a reach in a sense. Like,
I mean, why else did he go up on the stage then? He was laughing. Like,
but did Jada want that though? Do you think? It's kind of like the Kanye, Beyonce, Taylor Swift moment. It's like, you can say Kanye was defending Beyonce, but then you have to go, did Beyonce want that? And then you have to go, well, does a man get to just decide what a woman wants because it's convenient for them in a moment? And that's really the question.
I mean, I feel like Will could have handled it a different way. I have no idea what Jada thought. Like, maybe they'll release a statement or something, or maybe, I don't know. But it's like,
that would be
Twitter,
dope. If Jada released a statement that was like, I support Will, I'm glad he slapped him, that would actually reconstruct the moment in a really interesting way.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know where that came from. Like, I feel like Will has never done anything like that. Like, in his life.
That shit's the reporter, though.
I mean,
the reporter who kissed him?
Like,
the guy kissed him.
Different.
No, you're right. Like, it is. Well, I agree with that.
Personal space. Like, no, that's just weird. Like, even today, I was walking back from the gym and some dude, I didn't have my headphones in because I left them at the gym. And some dude was like walking behind me. And, you know, I'll be like head on a swivel because I'm in Turkey. I mean, it was like 4 in the afternoon, so it's like really sunny. But I'm like walking behind me. And he was just like, hey, he like takes his headphone off. I was like, you know, gave a little head nod. Then he was like, oh, I'm a huge Fenerbahce fan. Da, da, da. He was like, I don't know you, but I know you're on the team. You're not Kayla. You're not Elizabeth. You're not Satu. You're the other one. I said, okay. And then Lily continues to follow me, like, all the way down, tries to, like, hug me. I said, excuse me, sir. Like, I was almost about to slap him, and I don't even get like that, but, like, there's a boundary of, like, personal space. I mean, I get it, like,
yeah. It was all good till he followed you.
Yeah, like, he's following me, and then he was like, so do you live around here? I was like, nah. Meanwhile, I'm walking to my apartment, but good thing I was going to meet up with my mom beforehand, so I was like, no, I'm going to go see my mom. And he's like, oh, okay, I can walk you there. I said, no. Like, they're just weird. And he tried to give me a hug goodbye. I'm like, bruh, I don't know you. Like, just weird. So I get it. Like, I could have probably slapped him, but, like, I'm in a foreign country, so, like, maybe I shouldn't do that. You know?
I mean, it's in vogue.
I mean, but nah, he said he's a really big fan. But still, that doesn't mean, like, I didn't want to walk. I had to walk, like, okay, what, like 300
No, you were right.
Really not that much.
You can't follow a motherfucker off being a fan. No, you were right. You don't have to. You don't have to like half apologize for his behavior. Like him saying to me, it was acceptable for him to not know who you were. Like that. I don't love when people approach somebody and go, "Oh, I know so and so," and I think you're like. I don't love that energy, but it's something. You know, it's trying to be a fan.
It was fine.
Like, the attempted hug and the following is too much.
But it's like trying to talk to me the whole way while I'm walking. And if I would have had my headphones and I was going to turn around and go back to the gym and get them, that's what I knew I messed up. I was going to turn around and go back. I just was like, nah, I'm already like out the door. Like, might as well just go. I knew it. But it's like, he wasn't behind me when I first started. So somehow he caught up to me. And then he's making noises behind me. So I turned because I'm like, yo, who's like on my neck right now? Like walking behind me. Like, that's weird. And then trying to have a conversation with him. And then he trying to like, just weird.
What were you thinking as he walked towards you? As he like quickened his pace to walk towards you?
Well, I didn't realize it was him until he literally made a sound when he was like 3 feet behind me.
That's like, what Chris Rock was thinking when Will Smith was walking towards him. He's like, but wait.
If he would have got closer.
Oh, that's Will Smith.
But if he would have got closer, I would have been like shoved him because I'm like, you know, I look, okay, maybe he was like 5 feet because I'm like, okay, I see you. You see me, see you. So, like, don't do nothing stupid. And then he takes his headphones off and was like, excuse me, sorry. And then proceeds to try to have this conversation as I'm walking down the street to meet my mom. I'm like, bruh, like, we not doing this. But anyways, he didn't. The hug, I was just like, nah, I'm good. And then I just left.
That's another reason why I feel like maybe I'm projecting, but why I put bullying energy on Chris Rock for those jokes is because when Will Smith gets up, Chris just has a deer in the headlights thing. Whereas if you're like present and you're just performing and stuff, then you're like, oh, this thing changed in my performance dynamic. It did feel like Chris was piling on, and that's the other thing that Twitter and social media have ran with. It's 4 or 5 years ago when Chris Rock was making all the jokes about Jada Pinkett Smith boycotting the Oscars and making fun of her lack of celebrity relative to the other people who were boycotting. But then there's also the fact of like they were collaborators together on Madagascar. I don't know that Jada and Will necessarily have, or Jada and Chris Rock necessarily have a bad relationship. It could be a thing of the opposite where they're actually cool, but Will Smith never liked Chris Rock from, for the longest time. I mean, there could be so many different lanes to that.
I feel like there's so much that we don't know because that was just a whole wild situation in general. Like, didn't think that's what I was going to see when I woke up this morning. And that was basically the only thing I saw. So I haven't been on social media since. I want different jokes. Like, I got to wait for tomorrow for something else to happen. I need this to be over with.
I think this is one of the rare things that is going to take social media for at least 5 days. It'll have a 5-day run. But here's one thing that I do know for sure that anybody can learn from this if they're in this position. When you go to a big award show or you have some honor bestowed on you, even if it's just a retirement party, people are always like, stay in the moment, be in the moment. And that is terrible advice. Don't be in the moment. Be aware that all eyes are on you, that everybody is looking at you. Every time before the Chris Rock thing that they cut to Will Smith, because obviously it was his night before that. They were like, this is going to be one of the biggest stars of all time getting the biggest award in this field. So they're making jokes about Will Smith out the gate. Every time they cut to him, he's so present. And you should never be that present if all eyes are on you. You need to be aware and you need to be manipulating the moment. Like when they retire LeBron's jersey at all 3 locations, he should not be in the moment. He needs to go over, like him and his team need to go over his facial expressions before that. Because people don't do you right. They don't give you the benefit of the doubt when you're in the moment.
Nope.
They just analyze you like, oh, this is the real you? Well, let's analyze this person. Absolutely. Don't be in the moment, people.
Yeah, it's going to... Oh, man.
When Fenner retires your jersey and this guy is in the front row, you need to have your eyes on him, making sure. Don't get caught up in the moment, or this guy's going to be hugging you as the jersey goes up in the rafters. And be like, 41?
He wouldn't even be the only one. Like, literally, after every game, we have to go to the crowd and take a selfie. I'm like, for what? We see y'all every game. Y'all, like... I get it. Like, I shouldn't even complain because, like, it's great that we have fans, that they support our club, they support us, they want to see us succeed, which is amazing. But it's like, bro, we got to go over here to take a picture, then we got to go over here to take a picture, we got to go over here to take a picture, we got to go back here to take a picture. And I'm like, ain't no way you need a picture after every game. Like, but let me not complain. Like, I should be very thankful that
you should rotate. Like, rotate the responsibility. Like, whoever had the worst shooting night should go take.
No, the whole team.
Yeah, just
the whole team goes.
It's absurd.
And then I'm always the one that, like, so Zowie she's the one who's like in charge of the phone. So she takes the phone, she gets in the front, and then we just do like a team selfie. So she literally clicks it twice. I walk away. I'm like, next one.
Y'all do fake selfies.
She's trying to be no, it's like a real selfie. Like she has
but like fake enthusiasm. Like the way the Memphis Grizzlies have real enthusiasm.
Like we just smile.
Yeah.
Like we just smile, and then she takes 2. I'm like, okay, next, like let's get this going. But she she cute, so she want to do all her like angles, like, hey girl, and it's great for her. But like me, I'm like, let's just go. I'm hungry. So
no, I get that. I'm not a photo person either. I'm not a photo person either.
I don't mind it, but it's like every game. Like, come on, every game. Anyways.
Not even just wins. Like y'all are taking selfies after losses. Like
no.
Oh, but you guys win almost all the time, so it's
yeah.
All,
except
every
we just
game.
Lost this last weekend, so we don't need to talk about that.
Okay, well, do we have anything else for the Oscars? We can go back to that feel-good story to pivot away from the recent loss.
Nah, I'm cool. I'm cool off. I just hope Will. I mean, he'll recover. Like he's Will. He's one of the greatest actors still, regardless of that little blemish. I'll put a little blemish on his resume, but other than that, I think both of them will recover.
You think that they'll invite him back next year? Some people say that they won't, and I'm like, man, they're gonna have to. Like, who wants to watch
Yeah,
an Oscars where Will Smith isn't there?
Yeah, they'll invite Will back, especially if he's going to be in more movies, which I'm sure he will. But Chris
Yeah.
Rock's not coming back.
they're going with the more popular person, not the person who's right. It's that thing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he'll be invited back. I feel like it's not really going to do anything. Like half the people love what he did, half the people think it's wrong. But regardless, like he'll be fine.
I got to watch King Richard now. Now that happened, I got to watch this movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but I'm excited. I heard great things about it. So.
Me too. There is a couple other things that the Oscars did that they got to stop doing that I wanted to get your opinion on, because I feel like, they'll be close to your heart in a sense. The first thing, they keep asking Beyonce and people like Beyonce to perform when they're not when they don't win. And I really hate that shit. Like, they just keep pimping out Beyonce, basically. Like, Beyonce performed at the Oscars again. It was like it was one of the big hooks for the TV viewing audience. All the people that are like, you got to watch it live, they tuned in because Beyonce's performing. And then she loses the category. And it's happened before. And to me, it's really gross. And to me, it speaks to another thing that we'll talk about in terms of the next thing that, like, to me, there's a link between this thing and the next thing that we're going to talk about. But yeah, how do you feel about that idea of asking a person to perform or have a prominent role in an award show and that they didn't win?
It's kind of messed up. Like, so she performed first and then found out later that she didn't win.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that's just something that sounds like the Oscars would do. I don't know. I've heard, weren't they like supposed to boycott the Oscars or something this year? Like, wasn't that a thing? Like, I don't know. But
that's the undercurrent to it. Is like Billie Eilish won the category, and deservingly, in the sense that Billie Eilish makes great music, but it seems like they only do this shit to Black artists in terms of asking them to be a part of any award show, especially the Oscars, and then just going, oh, thank you for your service, but we're not going to give you this award again.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get Beyonce to perform at your show, you're definitely going to get viewers, because the whole Beehive is definitely going to tune in. And maybe Beyonce just really likes to perform, so that's why she did it. Or I don't know if there's a like unspoken rule that you're like supposed to win, or like you shouldn't ask. I don't know, but I mean, if you really knew that they weren't gonna win, I mean, honestly, if I was running a show, I would still ask them, because like if we can get Beyonce to perform, like why not? Even if she don't win, at least she still came. She's gonna put on a show. People are gonna tune in just to watch her. So like, if I would probably still ask too, even if I knew. I don't think it's necessarily right, but I mean, Beyonce is Beyonce, so if she wants to perform, come on, girl. But
well,
I don't know.
So
would you rather watch Beyonce or Billie? What's her name? Billie
Eilish?
Yeah, Billie Eilish? Who would you rather watch?
Well, I want to see her? Well, if we're doing an award show, I want to see the person who ahead of time won the award, because you're telling me that is the song of the year. You're not giving performer of the year. You're giving song of the year to one of the two of them. So if you're saying Billie has the song of the year, then that's the person who I believe should be performing. I do also think like there's a long-standing negative tradition of the Oscars making Black artists and entertainers earn awards over decades rather than for singular performances. Even with Will Smith, you can make the case he deserved it for Ali. You can make the case he deserved it for Pursuit of Happiness. You can make the case that he deserved it for three other things. And
I mean, that's true. I don't watch the Oscars enough to really think of it like that. But like, I guess if you put it out like that, saying that he's been in all these great movies and hasn't won, I guess I didn't know that, but that's kind of messed up. So like, when you put it like that, then maybe they should probably not doing that. But I just feel like there's a certain aspect of being like a Black entertainer that just has more appeal, and I feel like people want to watch that more. Not saying that like white artists don't want to like watch them or not, because some put on like amazing shows. Don't get me wrong, but just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't know. I prefer Beyonce over Billie So maybe that's why I would want her to perform. Like, I'm gonna prefer Drake over
Jack
Eminem.
Harlow.
That's it. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I would. Like,
Yeah.
Eminem is great in what he does, and he like has an extremely great catalog, and like probably is gonna be one of the best rappers of all time. But like to me personally, I still would rather watch Drake. Like, you know, that's just like my preference. So like I'm maybe not the best one to comment on that. But I
No,
don't know. I'm just
no,
I keep
I
saying
get
but I don't
that.
know so I don't get in trouble.
No, I agree with you though. I agree with you that, and I think that in terms of getting television viewers, Black entertainers, especially in the music space, are going to attract more television viewers, fans of those specific, like even if Eminem's performing at the Oscars, Eminem fans aren't necessarily going to watch, but the Beehive will go anywhere that she is. And that's just.
Same with Nicki.
Yep. No, that's true. The Barbs will go anywhere and everywhere. But
I'm a Barb too.
But that's why, yeah, same actually. But that's why before Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, we were going to talk about the Nicki Fivio song, but that got bumped because Chris Rock got slapped. But yeah, so I think that the Oscars agree with you too. They think that more eyes are going to follow Black entertainers, and that's why they want to have it both ways. They want to have performers who are of color, and they want to give their awards disproportionately to white artists. And it is subtle, but there's just a thing like Tom Hanks won Oscars back-to-back years for Philadelphia and Forrest Gump. I promise you Will Smith is not winning the Best Actor award next year. I would bet my life on that right now. He could make Forrest Gump 2. He is not winning Best Actor.
That is unfortunate. What's crazy, I've never seen Philadelphia. I don't even know, but
I've never seen it either.
Really. Oh, really? Okay, I don't feel bad then. How old is it?
But it's like
old.
It's a super downer movie. It's a movie with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington, and Tom Hanks has AIDS, and Denzel Washington is representing Tom Hanks's human rights. I know the story, even though I've never seen it. And yeah, I don't, like I'm at a point in my life where if a movie is going to be emotionally grueling, I'm just going to let it go until the next time.
Yeah, I'll probably pass on that one. Even if it clearly won some Oscars, but yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on that.
But so then the second thing the Oscars did, and this will actually tie into a WNBA thing, which is kind of interesting. They did this skit where Regina Hall basically pulls men out of the audience for like a COVID pat down, like mandatory sex thing. Basically, it's like, hey, for COVID, we're going to pull these attractive men out of the audience, and Regina Hall is going to have to take them backstage and kiss them and take their clothes off. Like, that's the sketch. Now,
what?
Okay, so here's why I brought this up immediately after the Beyonce thing. Like, a few years ago, when Girls Trip came out, Cat Williams was pretty vocal about, like, Hollywood is hammering this trope into the ground of Black women as, like, hypersexual. And, and so I have that point of reference. And then I also have the comedic point of reference where it's like, I do understand how discussing in general women's sexuality is like, could have a comedic bend, because whenever you're taking a topic that people don't want to talk about, there's a way to do it comedically. But Hollywood never does this stuff with their blonde actresses. But now it feels like every time you see Tiffany, every time you see a Black comedic actress, they're hammering this trope. So this is another thing that I personally, just as a comic, would like the Oscars to stop because it's so corny at this point. But I was just curious how you as a Black woman feel about just like this general like rehashing of this comedic trope with Black actresses.
I mean, it just sounds kind of annoying. Like, I'm glad I didn't see that. Clearly, I couldn't see anything else from the Oscars but the Will Smith thing. But I don't know. It's just kind of gross. Like, it just sounds like it's overdone. And that doesn't seem funny. Like, the way you just described it, I'm sure it was funny.
It's not funny. No, it's not funny. And that's the other thing, too, is and that's the general thing is, like, this shit is for, in terms of the TV audience especially, all this shit is for people who are too old. That, like, what they think is funny is just not funny. So maybe get some younger people in there to write some new stuff.
I don't know. It didn't seem funny. Like, the way you described it doesn't seem funny. I don't feel like I want to go back and try to find a video and watch it. Like, it just doesn't seem funny. Like, I feel like Like, did she have to okay that? Because like,
I
feel
mean,
like I
I
would just be
guess
like,
because
nah.
she carried the sketch, and I mean, Regina Hall's talented, so she
Yeah, of course.
really put a performance into it. But at the same time, it's like, and you know what? The biggest thing for me is maybe it could have worked for me if it hadn't been done 100 times before, and that's really the thing with a lot of these, like I'll just say like Gen X racial humor is like, it's not even that this isolated incident is heinous. It's that you guys already did this 2 years
It's
ago
like a
and 2 years
cycle.
before
Like,
that.
come on, let's
It
stop this
just
cycle.
sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed that because I would have just been annoyed. I don't know. I feel like I don't like watching people try to be funny that aren't funny, or like doing stuff that's not funny is just cringe-worthy. Like, if I would have saw it live, I probably would have just changed the channel. Like,
Yeah,
that's
for
how
sure
bad
you
it
would have changed
sounds.
the channel. No,
Because like doing stuff like that, it just sounds awful. It doesn't sound like I want to watch it. I get secondhand embarrassment because I'm like, I'm embarrassed for you. Like, why are you doing that?
yeah, no,
That's bad. Because I feel like she's too talented to do that. But yeah.
she should say no to the next time they pitch this exact same premise to her 2 years from now. I mean, it seems like Tiffany has stopped doing this because when Tiffany blew up from Girls Trip, they just wanted her to do that character over and over and over, and like,
or be like the loud, aggressive, like obnoxious. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
try to do something else. Like sometimes that's funny, but like when it's overdone, like we want to see a little more range or do something different.
Well, that's what leads us to the WNBA conversation, is that the Oscars, for the most part, are an event. You know, they're called the female Super Bowl, but what they are is the biggest TV event of the year that's ran by white women. And the WNBA also very much has the vibe that it is ran by white women. I mean, it's also true. It's ran by white women. And when we're talking about marketing Black talent, especially Black female talent, and we're talking about white women making those decisions, there were two things that happened this week in the WNBA space that I thought were really interesting, that I was like, this is exactly the kind of thing that the WNBA doesn't know how to market. Because at least like the Oscars, they do the same rehashing over and over again of the Regina Hall thing. But the WNBA, what they do is they just steer away from marketing y'all's sexuality at all. Like they just try to avoid it as a topic as much as possible. And the two things that I saw in the WNBA space that were really interesting to me was, the first thing, Liz Cambage goes on Serge Ibaka's show. Did you see that, by the way?
I just saw a clip of it, but I didn't see the rest
it's
of it.
really good. Like they have very good chemistry, and it got hundreds of thousands of views. Like, and the comments were very, very popular. But basically, she's flirting consistently the whole time. Cool. And it's like, but like not in a bad way, in like a likable way. And they have like a 3-minute conversation about her OnlyFans page that I thought was interesting and fun. But that's kind of the thing, right? Is that now we're starting to see a couple of WNBA players model for Savage Fenty. I believe Liz is the only one with an Instagram or with an OnlyFans. But the WNBA,
I don't know.
I mean, I would say, okay, so do you want the WNBA to, what would you like to see change in the WNBA in terms of the marketing of, I guess, like sexuality, femininity, and just like different kinds of appeal beyond just like a traditional, these are the athletes and they play basketball appeal?
I mean, I would want them to like promote stuff outside of basketball. Like in comparison, you know, LeBron has his I Promise school, like, and the league does a great job. So if, like, for example, Tina Charles has like Hopi's Heart Foundation that's like really close to her, and like she saved, you know, I don't know how many lives, but like it's her foundation. So like if they could, I feel like they should try to market stuff like that more. I'm not saying they need to go and market Liz's OnlyFans, like that doesn't sound realistic, and nor would I want them to do that because our league always gets scrutinized enough as it is. because people don't want to watch women's basketball. They think like we're terrible or whatever. So like, or they say like, oh, we watch it if everyone played in like tank tops and super short shorts or like sports bras or whatever. Like, I don't want it to be like that. So like, no, I don't think that they should like promote Liz's OnlyFans or like that she's a Savage ambassador or whatever her title is. Like, I don't think that should be the case. Like, we should at least somehow relate it back to basketball. But at the end of the day, like, there's so many people that want to play in the WNBA. We have so many players that currently play in the WNBA that have so much more to their stories in their life and what they do than just basketball. That also ties in with basketball, and I feel like the league should do their best to try to like market those aspects of it, because like we're more than just the league. And I feel like, as a, maybe I'm biased because I'm in the league, but like I feel that we have we're always the first to take a stand for like activism or social justice. And like when it's beneficial to the league, then they want to try to promote it. But when it's not, they kind of are quiet. So like that, I mean, I don't want to criticize the league, but like I feel like there is some room for improvement. But like it also comes back to the fact that they want to promote the same people over and over again, which is fair. The NBA does it too. Like you're gonna see LeBron every day, no matter what happens.
But
like,
the NBA doesn't really, like, they have so many different stars and different kinds of stars, and I think I agree with you. I'd like to see the WNBA branch out more in terms of the kind of stars that they promote. Like the NBA, they're promoting LeBron, but they're also promoting Joel Embiid. They're also promoting like Tyler Hero, who's not even, he's like the fourth best player on his team, but he's doing, I mean, there is like some of the stuff is player driven. Like when he does a music video with Jack Harlow, like, yeah, that's player driven. Like that's his team. But the WNBA can start to do more of that stuff. Like I thought it was a really good look when Asia was in the Sweetie music video. I thought that the doing the tunnel cam fashion things, I think that's a really good look. And I mean, personally, I think it would be a good move if they had Savage Fenty commercials during the games, like the same way that they have Clorox and they show Skylar Diggins like cleaning up after her kids. To me, that's the charm of the WNBA, is like there's all kinds of women in the WNBA. You have moms like Skylar Diggins, and then you have women who are in their early 20s who are partying and having fun and also really good at basketball. So
yeah, I mean, I agree, but not to the Savage thing. Like, okay. Because we already have, like, we're already scrutinized so much. If you show Liz or whoever when they're like Fenty gear, like in a commercial gear, they're like lingerie during a commercial, I just feel like it sends the wrong message. Like it's great for them because they can build their brand and be part of that, but also it's like we're kind of just feeding into the stereotypes that like women have to look good to like get an audience. Like I don't really think that's what we need to. I don't think that's what we need to go with. Like a separate platform, by all means. If you want to post it on whatever, or Fenty has their own commercials that aren't within the WNBA network or like during the games, and that's how we get viewers, that's great. But I feel like they shouldn't be, like I shouldn't be watching, I guess now, an LA game. Like I shouldn't be watching Liz play for the Sparks, and then during the commercial break, I see her in a two-piece lingerie set. Like I don't think that's what we need to see.
No,
that's how I feel.
No, I can understand where you're coming from. And actually I think that's a good point, that it is a little bit distracting from the basketball in the sense. And also, all ages of women are watching WNBA games. So if you have a 10-year-old girl, you might not want them to see that commercial in the middle of the game. That's a great point.
I feel like there's a time and place for everything. But if other brands or other things, I 100% think that they should. But like for that specific, like I feel like we shouldn't try to over-sexualize our players. Even some, like we have amazing people that look great that could be models. I think that's amazing. But just maybe not like lingerie during the commercials, during the games.
Yeah, and
I mean everything else though, yeah, for sure. Like if we had girls, if we had women in a league that had like makeup campaigns or something, and they're doing like the cover girl stuff, I feel like that would be amazing because like that's normal. Like
sure, yeah.
But, I don't know, that's just my opinion.
No, within like a certain parameter where it could be kind of an all ages thing. I get that 100%. Exactly. I mean so I guess I'll talk about the second thing that I saw that I thought was really interesting, even though it's like completely in the other direction to that. Did you see Dearica Hamby's Instagram post, the post she put up about like things NBA players learn when they hang out with WNBA players?
I didn't see it.
It was good. It was funny. So it's like text popping up on the screen. The first thing is like, oh, the games are lit. The women are really good at basketball. It's competitive. They know the stuff basketball. And then the last thing in small font is some of these players is hoes.
As in ours or the men's team?
As in WNBA players.
That's
And
funny.
I think there is an avenue to bring in, because I think, like, putting aside male fans, I think that there are female basketball fans out there that would connect more with players if they fully understood that every kind of woman is represented in the WNBA space. And I think a lot of women already know that shit. Like when I went to the game in Atlanta, it's like that shit was a party. Like there were the older women that have clearly been fans of the WNBA for like 30 years wearing their self-knit cardigans and shit.
It's not 30 years old yet, but we're getting there.
Oh, yeah. But these women were a fan of the WNBA before the WNBA even existed. But like, they're women who would bring their cats to the game if they could. Like they existed, but 75-80% of the audience was like under 30 women, mostly Black women who were like they're with their boyfriends, they're with their girlfriends, they're in big groups. Like it was like a party vibe. I mean, the dream has a really good live game vibe. The Mystics too. The Liberty are clearly growing theirs. I think like actually Sabrina's gonna be good. They'll get there.
Yeah, the New York will get it back. I'm pretty sure. Like we had a little like when we were at MSG, the fan base was crazy in the good way. I mean, not in the best way, not like they're actually crazy. But like really good support. And then when we moved to Westchester, it just fell off. Like the arena just wasn't really up to par. And then, moving to Brooklyn, of course, we weren't like the best team. Well, we had the bubble year. So like it's building back up. So New York and Brooklyn, they'll be fine.
I wish
Sabrina.
I wish Stewie had signed with them. I actually do.
She's not leaving. She's not leaving
at all. I think she goes to New York after this season.
I mean, she has more of a chance once Sue retires, but there's no way she was leaving Sue in Seattle. Like, no way. I think we all knew that she was going to sign back. But yeah, I mean, I would say WNBA games are lit. Come to an Aces game, it's lit. I was only there half a season last year, but still, like, as soon as I got there,
now you're there.
Amazing.
I mean, you guys have a squad.
So.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So it's like, that's just the thing. Like people have this image of the WNBA games and they think it's just like, old ladies and da-da-da-da. But like, it's really fun. Like the appeal, all the marketing in-game stuff, it's good. It's interactive. Like it's a different vibe. Like it's way better to go to a game than watch it on TV. I would say that.
No, like the Atlanta game was like a City Girls concert, but with 220 cat ladies also there for some reason.
Not a City Girl concert. I mean, it's just, Atlanta's also different. Like you can tell the different vibes when you go to different cities and play there. Like Atlanta's always a jumping city. Like it's gonna be. I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like it's always gonna be fun. Whereas,
some of these fans are hoes. That's what.
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that better than me. They're trying to take pictures with you after the game, sliding you room keys and whatnot.
Not to.
We can edit that. I don't care.
No, not to me. I'll be good. I'll be minding my business. But like then you go to other places like Minnesota.
Because you're not smiling in the photo. That's why. That's the number. Mind your business. You're like on your phone in the photo.
But like Minnesota, like their fan base is also crazy. Like very supportive, but they're not as active, I guess I would say, as like in Atlanta. But they're still like the fan base is good. You know,
they're like on the edge of their seats. They're like stressed. Well, that's because they're still traumatized from like that long series with LA where it came down to the final shot. They're still like recovered.
They're not like that, but I'm just saying like when you look at the crowd that came to Atlanta, like when you're talking about a City Girls concert, like you had like a bunch of, I don't know, it's Atlanta versus Minneapolis. Like what, you know what I mean? Like one is the South, like known to be a party place in general, and then Minnesota, it's actually better than what people think it is, but like the overall fan base is not going to be as wild. I don't even know how to word this, but it's like, you look at someone from Atlanta, you look at someone from Minnesota, like, it's still lit either way. Like their fan base is crazy. They get loud. They just probably not going to scream at the top of their lungs to a City Girl song.
And now I feel like Candace has transformed Chicago in like a year, where now that is going to be a rabid fan base moving forward.
Oh, for
Where
sure. But also their arena now is great. Like the arena they had us in like 3 years ago was awful. Like it was by
it
the
is such a
airport,
big deal. It's such
far
a big deal where
away.
you guys play.
The sound system was awful. Like their board, their little jumbotron thing was so bad. Like the speaker system, like I said, was just it just sound muffled. Like not good. But now the arena, crazy, and right in downtown. Like they get really good fans. Like it's just all about where you want to set up shop. So Chicago's gonna
Yeah.
be lit. I feel like we have really, really good cities now.
Well,
Even Indiana, like people say it's not like the best city, but they have really, really good crowds. Like especially like my freshman year, my rookie year, like when we played them in the conference finals, it was packed. Like so they're gonna show up and support their team like when they're back to that level, which they will be. Maybe not next year, but I think they're kind of getting the pieces into place.
dope. Okay, well, you were talking about the South a little bit. Let's talk about the Deep South. So this is going to be last podcast we talked about who are the contenders and who weren't, and this is going to show what a phony I am. My finals pick, I'm going to just change it, and not off of any real good reason. So basically, my head said the Suns, and my heart said the Nets. That's where I was at. And I was like, Suns Nets finals, either whichever way it goes, I'm happy because it's either KD or Chris Paul. I'm happy. And I specifically said I have no faith in the Miami Heat. Since then, they've lost 4 in a row, and they had a fight on the sidelines between the coach and the franchise player. And they're my new finals pick. I'm picking the Heat to win it all.
Why?
Oh, they I don't know if you heard, but they signed Myke 3 days ago. So Myke's on their team for the playoffs. Yeah.
Oh, I did just see that today, actually. I definitely just saw that. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm picking them to go 4-4-4-4. No, but for real, I actually think that he's going to be really helpful for what they're doing. And yeah, I'm going to pick the Heat, and my head is still saying the Suns just as loud as before, but I'm going to pick the Heat, and I'm going to be rooting for them every round.
You can't say my head picks the Heat, but my head picks the Sun. But that's getting like 3 choices. No, you get 1. So
you're right.
Your choice is the Heat. Go stick with the Heat.
I'm sticking with
my
Heat.
Lakers still. Sorry, Myke. I'm sticking with the Lakers.
That's the other thing. Last podcast, I said I was confident in the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers. Now the Lakers. I mean, I looked at the standings. And there's just no way now that they lost the Pelicans, there's no way they can avoid the Suns in the first round. There's no way. Yeah. And I would actually pick them against the Grizzlies if AD was healthy. There's no way I think they can beat the Suns, and no way they can avoid the Suns. Like, they can't beat the Suns in the first round.
Like I said, I'm picking with my heart, not my head. So
yeah,
we're just gonna. But you know how we said that thing, like if I going back to college basketball, if I get in the top half of my bracket.
Yeah.
Or who has a better chance? Yeah. So currently I'm sitting in 34th place. And
out of how many people?
37. And every team that I have picked is no longer in the tournament, so I can't go higher since Gonzaga.
You can only drop lower.
No, I actually can't really drop lower because whoever's underneath me also can't get any higher. So
you're locked in.
I'm stuck. I'm locked in at 34.
Like how the Lakers are locked into the play-in game and they can't avoid the Suns. I mean, I would pick them against the Grizzlies just off of LeBron, off of a healthy AD. But yeah, you know what's the worst thing is, I mean, you know that I love Russell Westbrook. I hope that they actually run it back with a healthy Anthony Davis and put more shooting. They're not going to. They're going to blame Russell Westbrook. They're going to send him probably to OKC. Like, to be honest, they're going to send him to OKC.
I saw an article, it was a thread on Twitter. When I say I saw news, it's always from Twitter. But I saw a tweet that said they think that Russ would fit in perfectly with Miami. They said just put him around some shooters and he'll do whatever.
But money-wise, you would have to give up Kyle Lowry to make that work. And do you want Kyle Lowry more or Russ more?
I mean, at this point, I think it's too late to bring in Russ. Like, he would change.
Will this be for next year?
But
yeah.
I don't know. I can't confirm what they thought
if the Heat flame out, which they won't because now they have Mike Mulder, they're going to win the championship. But if the Heat do flame out, Jimmy Butler would be their fall guy. And if they were to flip Jimmy Butler for Russ, that would actually kind of be cool for both teams. But look, they're going to just send Russ somewhere terrible, because the other thing about the Lakers is they're low-key vindictive. Like, some teams, Portland, will look out for your best interests if they are trading you somewhere.
The Lakers not going to do that.
No, they're trying to send you to the worst place possible if they can.
You think so?
Yeah,
I feel like they don't. So. I feel like they don't care where they send you. They just want to get the most for you. So if they got to send you somewhere somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, I feel like they're gonna do that, like, just to get what they want. I feel like they would do that.
I mean, Bynum won them 2 championships, and they sent him to a Philly team with nothing going on the team. Like,
but what did they get in return? Like, that's what they care about. They're not worried about you.
They got Dwight Howard. They got Dwight Howard, which at the time people were really excited about.
Yeah, this was his first time in LA.
In LA, yeah.
Yeah,
which
he was awful then.
Yeah, him and Kobe were not really. You have to be at like that Kobe, Magic Johnson level for the city of Los Angeles to show you any kind of loyalty, any kind. Yeah. And I wish they would just run it back with Russ. And like, I do really feel like there's a championship team you could easily build around Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James in 2023. I just think that you need to hit the shooting guard and small forward positions out of the park, because there's just going to be so much offensive responsibility on them. And you need a healthy Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Russ, because he's better than what they're saying he is. Like, everyone's forgetting like how he was his whole career, and they're
last year he was good.
This one season, yeah, like they're really just basing it off of this one season, which is really sad. But there's no way he's getting another chance in LA, and I doubt he even wants to stay there. Like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna want to be gone too. So, yeah.
What if they flipped him to the Clippers? I don't think that could work financially. That would be crazy, though. Well, I don't know. The Clippers love Reggie Jackson. He's like pretty popular there, especially after the way he's carried himself this year. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. They're gonna send him to NBA purgatory somewhere, but after this year, he's a free agent again, and he'll get to ring chase somewhere interesting. So at least that will happen for him.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I think once he gets out of LA and away from that, I think he'll go back to the old Russ that we all know and love.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, well, let's end there with some positivity. That was nice.
Yeah.
I'm Will Posnan. You can follow me on Instagram at Will Posnan. Kiah?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, since clearly that's all I be on. 41.
But you don't tweet, you just get your news from, or do you tweet these days?
Occasionally. Like, not really. Rarely. Sometimes I retweet something that's funny, but then like my dad just got a Twitter like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you're gonna be off there.
I feel like I can't tweet, like I can't retweet something. I'll be like, oh, do I want my dad to see that? Even though it's nothing really that bad, but I don't know. I'll just lurk in peace and like send it to my friends when I see something that's funny.
You're gonna be off Twitter in months. The parents going like, my parents got Facebook and I'd already left it, but then my siblings were just like, okay, our presence here. This is like 4 or 5 years ago.
My dad still be on it. I think my mom too. I don't know.
Now it's Meta.
Parents be on it.
Meta.
See,
Facebook's been reborn like Jesus since we both left.
But I feel like if I go to Facebook.com, it's still gonna pop up. No.
Yeah, what's crazy is I haven't gone to Facebook.com in so long that I can tell you more about Chris Rock's inner monologue than I can tell you about Facebook.com. But let's end there. Thanks for listening, people, and we'll see you next week.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Click over here to check out the latest episode, and click up here to subscribe. I feel like that's good enough. I feel like it's so. Well, yeah, because it was easier once I had to watch you do it. Watch you fuck up a few times, and I was like, all right, bet I can do it now. Okay.